Joining us here in studio is Kenzie Campbell, VP Business Development at Royal Home Improvements. Welcome to the program.
Well, thank you very much, Erin.
And for those that don't know Kenzie, he's a rookie in the business. So your company's been around since 1969.
Yep.
You've helped hundreds and hundreds of homeowners.
Yes.
And you're here to take the load off because we get tons and tons of questions.
Yeah.
So let's get into it.
All right. So let's focus first on age of buildings here in the GTA, but also in areas that are northwest, east. I mean, we've got 50-year-old buildings, 100-year-old buildings, and then, of course, different things when we're talking 10 years. So how do they differ when it comes to thinking about renovating?
Okay, so older homes that are built prior to the Second World War, are built primarily with non-dimensional lumber and non-dimensional materials.
What do you mean by that when you say non-dimensional?
Well, I mean, basically a 2x4 could be 3 inches, could be 3 1/4 inches, could be 2 3/4 inches. The sawmill cut material, the sawmill laid it out, the builder laid it out. They put lath and plaster on it to make up for those deficiencies. A lot of places are built out of level and out of square, but it doesn't matter because they made up with a lot of finishes. After the Second World War, things became very formulaic. Started in Lowell, Massachusetts, but the subdivision came in and homes were built by formula material. Every 2x4 was milled to a national standard and they're all the same. So a big difference when you start going and estimating on homes that are built in the 60s as an example, you know primarily what you're up against. And you know that by using these types of materials that you're going to be able to accomplish the goals that you and your clients have. Prior to that, it requires a little bit extra, and you have to account for that in both your delivery timing, which is probably the more important thing, cost, which is always a factor. 10 years, 15 years, you're talking about very modern construction methodologies, modern codes, modern envelope codes. We just used the word, or we've used the word before.
So the outside, we say envelope.
Well, the envelope, the ability of the home to hold its air inside and withstand the elements outside. Mm-hmm. You know, prior to that, if you think about slate shingles on a roof, I mean, they hold the water out, but not much else. Pretty much everything else that wants to go in can get in. Mm-hmm. Modern technology, lightweight asphalt shingles, I mean, it's sealed. Your home is sealed.
So, Kenzie, for people out there, because I love old homes. Okay. I mean, to me, the character, I just love them and I love renovating them. But for people that have those homes that are 50 to 100 years old, are they automatically going to assume that they're not well-built homes?
No. In fact, some are very, very well built. But, you know, the foundation of a home that was built 75 years ago was built of stone and mortar, and it was not protected against from waterproofing. It probably didn't have a weeping tile system. So those things have to be accounted for. As a minor example, in a basement, often people will say, I'd like to finish my basement off. But actually, moisture is penetrating your basement and dissipating into the air. When you put studs and vapor barrier on top, well, now moisture is trapped behind those walls. It doesn't matter now in your Victorian home in High Park or your Victorian home in the Danforth, you don't notice that. But when you do a vapor barrier and studs and insulation, well, all of a sudden mold starts to show up along your baseboard. And you say, well, how did that happen? Perhaps my contractor didn't do a good job. More often it's because you're trying to adapt an older home to a modern construction methodology. And that doesn't work as well. There's reasons, and they're almost visible now. You know why people use paneling in their basement. Why? Because when you use paneling, it allowed the air to dissipate and didn't trap everything. Now, when you take 6 mil polyethylene film and line all of your walls to make your basement warm and secure, you've actually trapped the moisture that's coming across the concrete.
Kenzie, let's stay on that mold subject for a second. It's a serious issue, and I think a lot of people blame cats and smoke in terms of their allergies and issues around the house. But, you know, a lot of times people don't even know that they have mold.
Well, that was the advent of the R2000 technology in the late 80s or mid 80s, which was a response to energy prices spiking through the mid 70s. They come up with a whole new technology where they said, we're going to seal everything.
Tight.
Tight.
Yeah.
Make the home as tight as possible.
So it doesn't breathe.
But yeah, they never allowed for the types of air exchange that's needed. They now make a unit, it's called a HRV, or a heat recovery ventilator. It actually exchanges the air in your home based on the need. It draws in cold outside air for combustion and sends it up your chimney, not warm inside air, and vents the air from inside your home based on a humidistat and
Has it circulate?
yeah. So if you
Moving air.
if you need
Yeah.
air in your home, it brings it in, warms it up. It takes air and sheds it out. They're not overly expensive.
No.
We advocate using it. We advocate putting it into your home when you do a significant renovation.
Right.
You're sealing up a significant portion of the home. Put an HRV in. Best investment you're going to make for your health. Best investment you're going to make for the longevity of the finishes in your home.
Very good.
Yeah, perfect example, though, of what people don't know that they need to know about.
Right.
What
Right.
they don't know that they don't know. And, from a technology standpoint, though, I want to point out, though, I mean, yes, we talk about these issues and mold and so on, but technology has made it even that much easier to identify. Things like thermal imaging now. You can identify if there's a moisture problem even without tearing up the wall, which was not available 10, 15 years ago. And it's easier than ever just to get things double checked. You can do an air quality test if you suspect mold. You can, do all of these things. And you said it comes with experience. Should we blame the contractor that did the job 5, 10 years ago? I believe partly you should, because see, when we talk about the real estate industry, we're required to be experienced in the area we're practicing.
Right.
It's our responsibility. If you're going to do something, you're required to have that responsibility. So if you're going to do renovation on a 50-year-old home, and if you don't have the experience, I think you should speak up and bring somebody in that does. And obviously a company like yours has been around since 1969. You've seen the gamut of the 100-year-old Victorians and the 10-year-old subdivision home, correct?
Yes, absolutely. But that's an interesting topic, because I think that's where a home builders association comes in.
Yep.
Because it's a connection of people who value education, and they value the connection and the networking capacity of all of those builders. We go to almost all of the events. We send our people to the educational seminars. We have 2 of our people are certified green renovators.
Great.
I mean, I was the former chair of the Renovation Council. Certainly network with everybody who brought forward those ideas.
And there's a benchmark. There's a minimum standard. Hey, we need to be up to speed. Oh, I didn't know. Well, tough luck.
Yeah.
You're supposed to know.
Okay, well, let's stay there, gentlemen. So if somebody is thinking of doing a renovation, of course, it can be a daunting task to find that right person that you can ultimately trust. So how do they go about doing so?
I think a good natural spot is the Home Builders Association. So in Toronto, it's BUILD. The acronym is the Building Industry Land Development. But every city across North America, every municipality across North America has a Home Builders Association, and they're all nonprofits. And they all feed up to, in our case, BUILD feeds up to the Ontario Home Builders Association, which feeds up to the Canadian Home Builders Association, which is a member of the National Association of Home Builders of North
Right,
America.
okay.
That process, I think, is an immediate. That's where you should first go.
And what about, Kenzie, when we're talking about Renomark, which is really an organization specifically for renovators?
Yeah, Renomark is a subdivision of the Home Builders Association that is meant specifically for renovators. You have to have a minimum $2 million liability insurance. You must maintain all of your licenses in good standing. You must return your business calls within 2 business days. You must offer a 2-year unconditional warranty. And we have had that. People have said, my tap is leaking. We don't argue about that. And that's the benefit, I think, of dealing with an organization like that. We say, well, we'll change the tap out.
So, Kenzie, is it safe to say that when you call somebody from Renomark, because there's a website you can go on, Renomark, of course, and you can look up contractors in your area, if you choose somebody that's under that website that is Renomark identified, that you can have the assurance of knowing that you're getting somebody that has all those qualifications that you're talking about,
Exactly.
but more importantly, that are accountable.
Yes, exactly. You've touched, I think, on the easiest thing to do when you're thinking about how to get somebody. Mm-hmm. Also provides you the best value. There are other mechanisms for finding people, referrals. I wouldn't discount any of those. They're also very good ways of making decisions about people.
Okay, Kenzie, I have to ask you this because we've always talked in terms of price per square foot. So why is it that you use that standard when you're pricing out? It's roughly $250 a square foot.
That's really just industry macro, though, isn't it? I mean, that's like saying how much is a car per cubic inch? Like
you have to have the beginning of a discussion. So people often say, like, how much will it cost to do my bathroom? Well, we do bathrooms for $8,000. We do bathrooms for $15,000. I mean, it's 5 by 8. Those are the typical costs. The $250 a square foot, which is from eerily accurate, is a typical cost for delivery of a renovated product in Toronto. It sounds high, but not necessarily high. I've seen $400 a square foot. But when you're putting in Carrara marble countertops and large format tiles and a toilet that is a $1,200 dual flush Canorama, $400 a square foot is probably pretty accurate.
So those homeowners' decisions can make a big, big deal. But before we wrap up, the other thing that can make costs go up considerably is when homeowners change their minds.
Well, that drives timing more than cost.
Well, sometimes it can be cost
Yes.
too, right?
Well, we take pride in working with clients prior to the fixing of the price. So I have a good benchmark. You said the $250 a square foot. I'll offer this. 30% of the cost of a new construction is in the digging of the hole and the putting in of the foundation and the structure. 30% of the cost is the putting in of drywall and exterior brick and stucco, whatever the case. And 30% of the cost is in finishing. Anyone who knows math will see that only adds up to 90.
The 10 is?
I've left the 10 just because it could be more in one and less in another. But you can see how that 30% in the finishes could expand or contract your job significantly. You can't get away without digging and putting up studs and putting up drywall. You can modify your impact or cost impact by adding or detracting from that cost line or the finishing line.
Kenzie Campbell, great advice.
All right. Thank you very much, Erin. Really appreciate being here.
Always something to talk about. We'll probably have you back.
All right.